Oh, wow. Back in saddle again. What day is it? Friday, I think. Friday afternoon. And I just got back from attending a gathering of around a dozen or more people, I think. Some first responders, RCMP officer, First Nation ladies, and some of their friends or sisters. A tribal doctor, spiritual healing doctor. And they invited me to come and sit in and listen to what they had to talk about. There's a lot. It was pretty gut-wrenching. Pretty gut-wrenching. Pretty hard to choke back the baseball in your throat, I'll tell you what, listening to these ladies' stories. And just gonna share this right now. This video isn't about this topic solely, but I'm gonna drop this on right now because I just came fresh off the press from it. It came fresh off the press. There's a whole pile of bodies located by the X-ray, ground penetrating X-ray. And that was a while back. We made everybody aware of that here by the request of the ladies. And I realized a while back that it was a big story for a couple of days and just disappeared. Nothing's being said. It's kind of like, what's going on, man? Because think about it. Like I said at the gallery today, I'm like, hey, I will guarantee you, if somebody did a little ground penetrating X-ray on my property, they came up with even just one body, especially a child, first off, or even let's just say 2 or 3, whatever, my face is going to be on the news channels around the globe. Big time. And they're not going to let it rest. They're not going to let it go away. And that, my face is going to be brought to everyone's eyeballs. Big time, relentlessly and endlessly until something happens, right? And it's so bizarre to hear straight from the police officer there, who it turns out is a good guy and he's concerned and he's involved in the First Nation communities as well. Big time. He basically has had to tiptoe around his answers to questions because obviously you say the wrong thing and the hammer will drop from above, right? Meaning if you're a police officer employed by the government and then you say the wrong thing, you're going to get it. So what he basically said was, my First Nations lady friends said flat out, what's going on? What are you guys doing? Like, what's going on? Basically tiptoeing what he said was from the top, this is their attitude on it. Oh, well, we're going to leave it with the First Nations, with the communities. It's going to be up to you guys what you want to do with it. Because, the bodies have been down there for quite some time, and, the DNA, we could find out where they came from, the DNA. We couldn't really be able to find out how the cause of death were. It's a bit of a cluster, and it'll just ultimately be up to you guys what you want to do and how you want to go about it. And we all know that's true, right? We all know what's true. That's true with the government at hand. They don't give a shit. But for me, it was just kind of like, what? Holy cow. Okay, so you guys built the house. You guys forced us there, and you guys killed the babies and children. You put them down there underneath it. We found them. It's been a while. No big deal. Right? It's just so bizarre to bear witness to that firsthand. It's not a funny thing either. I guess I'm doing a half a laugh as sarcasm in a way, right? Disgust. But anyway, as I sit and listen, I watch and I observe and I learn. Nothing new there really for me as I watch. And I relate that to everything that's going on with not just these groups of people, but everybody on the planet. The war is on the children. You want to make a difference? You go after the children. You want to change people's attitude, change how people react with each other, change what they know from past history. You go after the children. It's too easy. If you want to change it for the long run, well, all you got to do is, and make them weak, well, go beat the crap out of a bunch of children. Go kidnap a bunch of children, maybe even rape them a bunch of times. Beat them. Don't let them speak the language. Don't let them hang out with their family. It doesn't matter what race you are. All you have to do is go after the children. And that's it. Abuse the shit out of them for one little generation, and that'll pass the torch on to at least 2 or 3 generations now. 3 for sure. Proven here. But that's how you do it. And I was aware of how to change the world for the better or the worse. I was aware of going after the children. It's the way to do it. Quite some time ago. I know I'm babbling, but I just came from a meeting with so much said and shared, and it was so brutal to hear. And then, of course, my mind goes off, realizing more in a bigger picture. And then I guess that what I wanted to just share with all of you is how somebody come up with the recipe of going after the children to achieve their goals. And not just with one group of indigenous people, that's with everybody in the world. All they have to do and what they do is they focus on the children. That's all they got to do. It's very simple and very effective, and it works. So, there you go. Maybe if possible, to encourage people to think on their own and learn on their own and possibly make a difference would be to encourage everyone to today, maybe even take 20 minutes. It won't take long. Just take 20 minutes out of your time, if you give a shit, and try to come up with some blatant examples of how, let's just say there's a dark power floating around the planet. Let's just say you could come up, do a little self-investigating into it and see if you can come up with, how many ways can you come up with right now to prove that there is a dark force preying on the children of today around the globe. Let's see if you can come up with a few examples of how that's going down, especially here in North America. Just take 20 minutes. 20 minutes out of your time. And if you had to, if the task at hand was to prove to me that our children are being preyed on for an outcome down the road, let's see if you come up with a handful of examples in just 20 minutes. Right? It's amazing. It's amazing to watch what's going down today. It's amazing to watch, and not amazing in a good way. It's just like mind-boggling, eye-opening, holy shit. Unbelievable. Anyways, I had to leave that group early because I am late now. But I was compelled to become even later by sitting here for an hour. But I did speak openly to that group before I left, and what I stressed on, I looked everybody in the eye and I stressed that the number one way for the bright light to win over the darkness is for speech, is for the stories to be heard. It doesn't matter what the topic is. As long as the people get heard, shit happens. If the people do not get heard, nothing happens and everybody keeps going in circles, right? I can't stress enough how important it is for every single voice to be heard. And I do believe that this channel is a very strong, in-your-face example of that. Look what's happened here from just giving every single voice a moment to be heard in front of now an audience of millions, right? And then of course people, yeah, well, some of those voices are bullshit, some of them are liars, some of them are infiltrating here to try to derail the process, the platform. Well, it's not happening, it's impossible. Obviously, we have to take some good, some bad with the good, right? That's what we do. And that's actually handy and helpful that we do possibly have some misleading pricks here, because then that helps all of us become more in tune with ourselves and our judgment, our gut instincts, and knowing what is truth or not, right? There you go. I'm babbling. I know I'm babbling. So I'm going to get some more voices heard. I'm going to sit here for a little bit. I have to wait for Sarah to get back, what she's doing. I'm going to share some more voices. And I know last night I made a video, which I normally don't do in the evening at the end of the day. Absolutely tired. I made a flubbo. What do I call it? I just got done some Sammed cannon. And I actually caught that before I posted the video, just so you know. I didn't care. Whatever. Who gives a shit? I'm not perfect. I'm just a dumbass like the rest of us here, right? Fumbling through life and trying to make sense of it. Nothing's overly practiced before it comes out here, I'll tell you what. Now, let's get going. So I gotta get some voices heard before I go now, because I want to. I'm motivated again. Doesn't take much. And then I have to pack my stuff and head to the annoying 2-hour logging road. Alright, this one's titled, I Saw a Skunk Ape. And today, said thousands of people by now. It was around June, like one Saturday evening, as in my John boat fishing for bream, probably meant brim, in the Suwannee River in North Florida, specifically Hamilton County, Florida. It was about 7 to 7:30 in the evening. The sun was setting, so the sun was only shining on the Hamilton County side of the river, as I was fishing on the Suwannee County side in the shade. Had run upriver about 4 miles from Gibson Park State Park and began floating back down fishing for brim. Well, you spell bream again, B-R-E-A-M. The river was fairly low and it was moving swiftly, so I did not need a motor. I was baiting my hook and catching bream. Am I pronouncing it wrong? I thought brim was spelled brim. Maybe that's the way it's spelled. I don't know, I'm sorry. Baiting my hook and catching bream, I'm going to call it brim anyway, quite regular, and all of a sudden I heard a deer above my head blow. I looked up to see nothing because of the green foliage, so I went immediately back to fishing, and within 30 seconds, another deer on the Hamilton County side blew. Again, as I turned around to see if I could see that deer, I saw what can only be known as a skunk ape in Florida or Bigfoot in other places. When I say massive, it was massive. Standing on a lit up sandbar, shining in the sun, was a 7.5 to 8 foot tall skunk ape. I stood there for probably 15 to 20 seconds looking at it, just trying to figure out what it was. But it was standing there like a massive man looking back at me. He was at least 700 to 800 pounds of pure lean muscle, red auburn hair glistening in the evening sun with the white sandbar as the background. Holy shit, that color would have been standing out. Everything is crisp at that time. I can remember every moment of it still as I sit there trying to gain detail about it. You could tell it had the human V between its legs. His hands went approximately halfway down his thigh, no neck. I compared the muscle structure of his chest and neck to that of a silverback gorilla. His hair, auburn red color, with a black face. I can remember trying to look into his face for detail, but it was so black I could not see a face other than black. To this day, I know for a fact it was Bigfoot. He was again so massive, yet so human-like. No human that I know of can't compare to size and the thickness of him. Just massive. As I continued floating towards him on the opposite side of the river, a brown hit my pole that was in the water, and as I turned around to reel him in, I got the fish in the boat, turned around, and he was gone. Just that quick. Up a steep sandbar in a matter of seconds. To this day, I know what I saw. Of course, everyone thinks I'm crazy. But approximately a year or two after that, another guy was stopped by the police with the exact same description of a skunk ape. The paper said the guy was so scared of what he saw, he was shaking like a leaf. Keep up the looking. I am Ken Mansell. Hope you said it's okay to use your name, Ken. There you go. Welcome to the club, brother. Another one. Another member. Lots going on in Florida. A lot. A lot of red-haired descriptives too, right? A lot of these beings have been noted to have red hair. And speaking of that, there was one sighted just past the house here up the road towards the fish hatchery. It's up the road behind me here. And a person drove by and quoted to have seen a massive red-haired covered being with blue eyeballs, and they locked eyes as he drove by right up here. Red. There's a lot of red hair version sightings on Vancouver Island as well. Basically everywhere, right? But it seems to be a lot in Florida and a lot in Vancouver Island, sharing the red hair detail. It was titled, I Couldn't Understand Why I Was So Scared. Dear Steve, I started watching your channel for the hunt stories you told. I've always admired anyone who can tell a good story as well as you do. You're well-spoken and can paint one hell of a picture. When you started talking about Sasquatch, I thought I won the lottery, because not only do I hunt, but because I've always had an interest in the Sasquatch topic. When you started talking about sixth sense, some people have the ability to harness. It hit me like a ton of bricks when I thought back on 2 incidents that happened to me in the woods. Maybe I have a sixth sense. Unlike yourself, when I tell a story it seems to come out like a bag of shit, but I will do my best to convey what happened to me. Right here with you, man. Let her rip. Our family has 50 acres in northern Michigan. On a 10-acre plot, we have a cabin and just hunting land on another 40-acre plot. On our 10-acre plot during the summer, we go up just for recreational purposes, mainly to get out of the city. It has always been my tradition to walk to the back of the property the minute I get out of the car. I've been doing since I was a little boy all the way into my 40s. There's a clear path cut through field and forest to the back corner of the property. I always liked the prospect of sneaking up on game before our presence drove them away. 5 or 6 years back on a summer solo trip to the cabin, I drove in quietly, got out of the car, started walking down the path that led to the back of the property. I got 30 yards down the path when a fear, dread, and tunnel vision froze me in my tracks. I stopped and listened, but I couldn't hear anything other than my own heart racing. Everything in my mind and soul was telling me to turn around and effing run. The forest ahead of me was dark and ominous, even though the sun was high in the sky. I couldn't understand why I was so scared to walk down the path that I've been walking since I was a boy. I've never had a fear of being in the woods up until this moment. I shook my head and thought I was being silly and decided to push on. I took a few steps and I heard a noise towards the clearing that was about 50 yards ahead. It was a combination of leaves and branches moving, and if I wasn't mistaken, a strange animal noise I couldn't identify. I stopped again, but this time I turned and walked back to the cabin. With every step I took, I could feel little by little the fear peeling off my soul and mind. I don't know what was in that clearing, but it sensed my presence and didn't want me there. I fooled around the cabin for a few hours, not daring to go near the path. I kept a close eye on it, and for the next few hours, it still looked dark and ominous. And then all of a sudden, I took a look towards the path. It looked bright, sunny, and welcoming. Also, for the first time in this trip, I could hear the birds and small animals of the woods. I dropped what I was doing and finished my tradition of walking to the back of the property. I'm happy to report I did it without 1 ounce of fear following me. I like to think if it was a Sasquatch, but I'm glad I didn't push on and have an encounter with one that would scare me from the woods forever. It's always a factor, right? From the stories you share, a lot of people wish they never seen the damn things, or it could have been a mommy bear with cubs waiting to rip my face off if I came near. Either way, I'm glad I listened to my sixth sense. Up until recently, when I watched you talking about sixth sense and how you always follow your gut, that I realized it was my sixth sense telling me not to go further, and not some silly fear that overtook me. That same fall, late October, I was in my tree stand in the late evening on the hunting property. Normally on the evening hunts, I wait a half hour after dark to get out of the stand. I've seen some cool shit in the moonlight. I want to make sure the deer aren't around before I get out of the stand. This particular night, as it was getting dark, that same fear came over me. I decided quickly to get the F out of there. Quickly, I gathered my gear, not caring if I made noise. I hit the ground running when all of a sudden I heard what I thought was a deer running next to me. So I stopped, not wanting to get ran over by the deer. When I stopped, it stopped. I started walking again, so did it. It sounded like it was 40 yards to my left at the edge of a cedar swamp. There was enough light left to see 10 feet around. Beyond that, it was dark shapes. Thinking I was dragging something behind me, I looked and felt behind me to make sure I wasn't scaring myself. Nothing. I started walking, so did it. This time I didn't stop and neither did it. I didn't want to play whatever game this thing wanted to play. It wasn't until 100 yards away from my stand did I notice nothing was keeping pace next to me. When I was close to my vehicle, when I was close to my vehicle, did the fear start to melt away? A couple of feet from reaching the car, I heard an unearthly scream / growling coming from the area of my tree stand. My hunt was over for that weekend. Again, I didn't know what it was that drove the fear, or realized at the time my sixth sense was tingling. Sasquatch? Maybe. Coyotes? Possibly. Bear? Who knows? You talked recently about a conference year or two where these two gentlemen talk of how animals can sense your emotions even when you're long gone. You realize now that whatever it was that drove my sixth sense could sense that my intentions were good and only want me to give them space. Perhaps that's why, other than shitting myself, I didn't have any negative experiences with, say, a Sasquatch. This is what drove me to write to you. I want to hear more on the subject of what animals can sense, and to encourage your viewers to listen to their guts. I believe now that my gut has saved me on more than these two occasions. I hope this story finds you, and you find it interesting enough to share. If not, I wanted you to know your channel has struck a chord with me on the topic of sixth sense. Keep up the good work, brother. Dave. Okay, man, thanks for sending the email, dude. Glad you listened to yourself. Now listen to this. This is going to be a bit much for people to wrap their brains around, but it's been proven as facts from some men that I have absolute respect for. Now, these men, their last name is Lay, and they're a prominent, well-known family amongst the ranchers and hunting community and the First Nations community in British Columbia. These guys hail from Williams Lake. Now, they are 3 generations predator control people. These guys are masters, and I mean frickin' masters of their trade. They live catch grizzly bears like basically all the time. Live catch them. Their photos are amazing. Their stories are crazy. I took a wolf trapping course with them, and they said that there is absolutely no way you can hide the fact that you have been here from a wolf. It's not going to happen. It's not possible. No matter what you do, you are not going to be able to hide the fact that you were right here, standing right here, from a wolf or a pack of wolves. Furthermore, what they also said was, if you are troubled, if you've got something going on that's troubling you, if you're off, you're not calm between the ears, maybe who knows what's going on, you're just going through bad times, you're having a real challenging time with your relationship, your job, substance abuse, anything, something's off between your ears, you're not settled, you're not in tune, and you go about trying to capture wolves, they know. and your success at capturing those wolves drastically drops. And while they're sharing this in the classroom, there's another First Nations trapper from Alberta that traveled to BC to attend this course at the same time, and he's an experienced guy, and he even chimed in and said, oh, that's totally true. Totally true. He says, I was going through some rough times a couple years back. He says, I was normally getting anywhere from 17 to 20 plus wolves a year, and when I was troubled, he says, he could barely even catch a wolf. What? Also, what they said was, if you can come to a place where you can drive down a road in your pickup, as an example, they said, you drive down the road and you can see one of your sets off in the distance, not right beside your truck, off in the distance. They said, if you drive down that road in your truck, think about the shit coming the exhaust from that pickup truck, the scent coming out of the box, the scent coming off that truck. You drive down the road. They said that if you stop to look out your window and gaze way over across at that set, meaning where your location trying to capture the wolf, if you stop, if you roll up with your window rolled up and stop, and then unroll your window and look out across the way, roll up your window again, they know you stopped. They know something's up at that spot, and if anything, they'll probably vacate it and never go through there again. They just know something real, you're up to something real no good. How amazing is that? And they also said that if you need to, and you're going to, unroll your window way back down the road and drive up and look out the window, and if you're going to carry on, you carry on for a long ways, and then you roll up your window again, and that throws them off. What? Right? But these men have proved it. Proved it. They were so knowledgeable, and I learned so much from them. They were just blowing me away nonstop for, I think it was 3 days we were there, 2 or 3. And also, what I'll share with you again, I've shared in the past too on this channel, is these 3, I believe, wildlife biologists / trappers in Alaska. They were keeping tabs on a very popular wolf pack in one of those parks. May have been Denali, I don't know, I forget. But it was in a national park. They're keeping tabs on these wolf packs by radio collars. They said, see, each pack of wolves, they have a natural border. It might be a river, it might be a rim of rim rock on a mountain pass. It could be a body of water. Whatever it is, they have borders, and each pack knows where the border is. And just so you know, the number 1 killers of wolves is wolves. That's the number 1 killers of wolves is wolves. They war, and they annihilate each other, and they have 0 respect or patience for non-pack members. 0. And especially other canines, coyotes, domestic dogs, you're gonna get killed. Anyway, get this one. They said that when the one pack crossed into the other wolf's territory, the other pack, I believe they were either 60 miles or 60 kilometers into their zone. It was almost the moment that rival pack crossed into their territory, that pack of wolves spun and bolted back to go confront that wolf pack. What? Right? How's that for an example of 6th sense in animals? That's amazing. It's amazing. How do they do that? How do they do that? Right? There's a lot of skills that are present in our lifetime with various species and humans that we just can't wrap our noodles around. It's amazing, right? Not just the Sasquatch topic, the Sabe people, the Bush people, the people, whatever you want to refer to them as. Another thing too is we were talking about this just last night, we were talking about pets, finding families. We're talking about how there has been documented cases of cats and dogs being separated from their families who are road tripping or moved across country, and the animals showed up at the new residence. What? And the animals had never been there before. So there you go. There's obviously a lot going on out there that we do not have in our possession to use at our beck and call. Most of us. I believe some of us do for sure. But there you go. There's my little spiel on 6th sense. I didn't really touch on what we normally can do with it. I mean, obviously we can do it. I've got it. I know I've got it. But that's too easy to cover that one. But there's some extreme examples, all right, of some mind-boggling shit that's going on around us today. And how do you explain it, right? But wouldn't that be sweet to be absolutely in tune with it like that and know that you've got it and know how to use it? Who knows, maybe, right? We keep digging. Who knows? We just might be able to. You never know. All right, here's another one. I was only 7 years old. Hey, Steve, I've watched your channel for only about a year. Thank you so much for this platform. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming out. My encounter happened when I was 7 years old, and I'm 64 now. I was lucky enough to be able to go camping with my best friend's family. There were 6 of us kids and 2 adults. We were on Vancouver Island, in a well-populated campground not far from the ocean. I don't remember the name of the campground. Close to our campsite was a wooden, arched bridge that spanned a good-sized ravine. Close to our campsite. Okay, it's not sounding familiar to me yet. Across the ravine was a mama black bear with 2 very small cubs. They must have been born earlier in the year. It was summer at this time. Because of the bear, no one was going across the ravine. Though many people were standing by watching the bear graze, she seemed to have no worries as the people stood there and watched her. Later that evening, we were all sitting around the campfire, and I had to use the outhouse. I could see the outhouse from where we all were, so I didn't need any help getting there. Being a kid, I was a bit scared, so I took off at a run. That's when it happened. A very large thing stepped out in front of me onto the path. I ran smack into it, all but bouncing off of it. It stunk very bad and had long hair. I put my hands up to feel what it was, basically patting it down. I actually felt its belly button. It picked me up, and I was so close to its face I could swear I could see the twinkle in its eyes. His eyes were brown. His nose was broad, but straight, and his mouth was wide, with thin lips. I felt no fear from him, just amusement at the folly I'd found myself in. He then put me down, where I became very afraid and ran back to the campfire. I didn't say a word to anyone. Holy shit. However, I never got to pee that night. I was too afraid of it. I don't remember a thing about the camping trip from that point on. I know that what I ran into was not a bear. I doubt bears pick up kids and look at them and then put them gently down and quietly step away. I've had 3 other encounters while in the woods, but never saw one again. My senses are strong, and I can tell when something is in the woods with me. I grew up in Oregon, and I've spent a lot of time hiking in the woods. You can use my name if you choose to. Thank you, Cindy Thomas. Cindy, that is freaking amazing. Now, I'm guessing, if I had to guess, an arched bridge close by the campsite. First I thought Goldstream Park, but nope. And then I thought, all right, you must have been probably anywhere from Parksville to Campbell River. I'm going to narrow it down to that gap in the island. That's my guess. And there is a lot of sightings around there too. A lot. That's incredible. And another incredible point for me is I never said anything to anyone. Said a lot of people. Said a lot of people. Alright. What's this one? This one's not too long. It's all caps lock. I should be able to rip through this real smooth, right? Thanks for that email, by the way. Thank you so much. And if you can find out somehow where you went camping, find out and email me back, alright? Steve, what I'm about to share with you occurred approximately in the late summer of 2017 in Northeast Washington. My family and I like to camp in a small 100 by 20 yard mountain meadow alongside a creek running through a cedar grove. This is the highest up dispersed camp spot of this particular water drainage. On the second morning of camping, while my wife and 2 kids walked down the meadow, I was cooking and heard 3 distinct knocks on wood very close to the camp. I looked around for a woodpecker but could see and hear nothing else, so I dismissed it. Later that night, my kids roughhoused in the camp trailer and we all went to sleep. I tied my small dog up to the front of the trailer and opened the trailer's side tilt-out windows before going to bed for the night. At about 4 a.m., I woke in my bed. It was the time of morning that was gray out, and I was wondering why I woke up. I laid there for about 10 minutes, listening for my dog, birds, anything, but I could hear nothing outside. I then distinctly heard a large 20 to 30 pound boulder being thrown into the 1 foot deep creek below the trailer about 20 yards away. You could hear it strike another boulder underwater. I then grabbed my pistol and listened for another 30 minutes until it got a bit lighter out. Then I went outside to check my dog. She would not come out from under the trailer, and I had to drag her out by her cable. Fast forward another year in the same location. We had parked our camp trailer at one end of the meadow, and the trailer door was 10 yards from the bush with the campfire right behind our trailer. I had placed a kerosene lantern on a pole between the fire and the camp trailer door. My wife and 2 small children had just gone to bed, and I was talking with my older stepfather, who had come up to camp with us. While I was looking at him, we both heard a loud grunt/huff and foot stomp not 25 feet from us, coming from the direction of the bush. I instantly grabbed my SKS, which was hanging on the tree next to me, and my stepfather had a spotlight, which he had turned on and swung around to where the noise originated from. I had the rifle loaded, but I had not chambered a round, so being left-handed, I placed my right hand on the bolt but did not rack it so I could listen. We both then walked closer to the bush, which was dense, but you could not see into it in spots. Behind the bushes, the terrain climbed sharply, and the weather had made the leaves dry. We could see and hear nothing, but I had expected something elk or moose size to be there. Excuse me, nothing was there after looking from the meadow into the bushes for about 30 minutes. Steve, beyond this camp spot, up the creek is the last valley before the peak of the mountain. I know something lives in there. As I think you mentioned before, the natives attributed certain things to Sasquatch, including the word humbling. That they are, and I also suspect they can determine our intent. I believe they can as well. As far as my intent, I think the Sasquatch is in the same situation we are in, but I think most people do not understand that. Let me explain. I recognize that the majority of the people as a group are preyed upon by a smaller group of people who are crazy / sociopathic / psychopathic, call them what you will. In sum, that smaller group of people prey upon the unknowing majority of humans. The last thing this dangerous minority wants is for the public to understand that. For if the public did understand that, then they would come to the conclusion that they must become the predator themselves and not they remain the prey. I suspect the Sasquatch people already understand that fact, and I would not put it past the powers that be to exploit the Sasquatch people's abilities in order to maintain their control over us. As my good partner, an ex-Alaskan guide used to say, the possibilities are endless. Best regards to you and your family. Caseman Theodore Thompson. I hope you said it's okay to say that name, my man. And I believe you didn't say not to use it, so there you go, it's set. Thanks for that email. Yeah, there's a lot going on out there. There's a lot of darkness going on out there. It's funny, not funny at all. I always just say that starting off, but they just made it clear that amongst many other high-profile names in mainstream, including Disney, that the CBC, that's the government of Canada's owned and manipulated news source, is just trying to discredit big time the producers of the movie The Sound of Freedom. How dark is that? How dark is that? Disney has gone out of their way to try to discredit that movie. Hollywood is absolutely against it. I believe somebody posted a list of all the names, prominent names, that are trying to, at all costs, discredit and shit on a movie that was produced to help encourage the saving of children, the trafficking of children globally. Isn't that amazing? That is so amazing to me to watch this shit show go on. How could any business be in business today after publicly trying to derail a message to the people to stop the trafficking of children? Are the people seriously that powerless today? No, they're not. I'll answer that for you. No, they're not. You just got to use your voice. Take the power back. I'm trying not to babble you guys, all right? Trying not to. On other topics, but yeah. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read one more. This is titled Portal Bernie. Backyard. This may be the one I was reading. Okay, hold on a minute. Hey Steve, thank you for providing the site to enlighten us on the subject of Sasquatch / Bigfoot. We've needed something like this for a long time, and I, for one, cannot understand why the public has been purposely left in the dark regarding these beings. I'm 68 years old, retired now, living in Winnipeg, Manitoba. My story is a short one, but nevertheless, I felt like it needed to be told. It happened back on Vancouver Island, where I lived for 4 years from 1978 to 1981. I attended Mount Sapina College. Therein, after graduating from a fish culture technology program, was involved with numerous fisheries contracts working with salmon and trout enhancement projects on the island. My incident occurred near Portal Bernie while heading to a junior ranger camp which was being used as a base for our team, which was involved in determining coho salmon recruitment numbers in feeder streams in the area. I was driving a Pontiac Firebird at the time and was heading to camp from Nanaimo. Since it was my first time at this job, I decided to leave late in the evening so I could be at the camp early enough. The location of our camp was a considerable distance up a well-used logging road in the vicinity of Port Alberni. Right here. The weather had been fine when I left Nanaimo, but as I reached the logging road, it started to pour out. The rain was pelting my car so badly that I had to slow down considerably to a point where I could barely make out the road in front of me. Nobody else was on the road at the time, and as I made my way along for a few miles, peering out the windshield, I tried to focus on the road ahead, and suddenly, from my right side, a huge reddish-brown figure shot out from the bushes and quickly crossed my line of sight. It happened so fast I didn't even react to it by stepping on my brakes. What I saw was a huge, matted, shaggy mass of hair that completely engulfed my entire windshield. I made out what looked like an arm swinging across the front of my car, but couldn't make out anything else. In 3 seconds, this figure was gone. It startled me so badly that there's no way I was going to stop my car to investigate. To this day, I think about how massive this thing was. I only saw roughly half its body height in front of me. No shoulders and no head, because it towered over my vehicle out of my sight. Even if there are grizzly bears on the island, there's no way a bear could be that tall above my car. No way. And elk don't have shaggy reddish hair like I saw. Since that time, I've heard of many reports from Vancouver Island where people have seen reddish-brown Sasquatches, and I'm certain that's what I saw. This topic has intrigued me ever since the Patterson film came out. You got to be completely stupid not to believe that these things exist with all the evidence out there. I've told people what I saw back then, but all they've done is laugh and ignore this evidence, saying it's all in my imagination. And today they're probably arguing over who is a man or who is a woman. Right? Steve, to the non-believers out there who say it's all a bunch of nonsense, I'd like to say this. If you haven't done the research on Bigfoot/Sasquatch topic, the fact that you criticize the people that have done their homework and have studied the facts and all the evidence just shows how ignorant and stupid you are. Wake up, for God's sakes. Anyways, thanks again, Steve, for leading the charge in this struggle to find truth. I hope we all will know what is happening out there in our wilderness areas before I pass on. Stay safe. All right, well, I hope you stay with us because it's coming. It comes every day here, actually. Truth comes here every single day. But I know that there is a lot of answers coming soon from various people that have in contact with me. I'm looking forward to it, but obviously it just cracks open more questions, right? If your mind's set to dig and need answers, the more answers we get, the more questions that get thrown in our face. Do I believe this mystery's been solved? This mystery of these people, these man-like non-human beings, maybe they may be referred to? Yeah, I think it has for certain. I'm very convinced it has been answered, but it opens up more questions in different directions too, right? So anyway, I'm gonna go. I'm trying to avoid the hot part of the day today because I do have to travel for 2 hours. Now I believe that I have to put some other tasks off because I was so late today. So that's enabled me to sit here and hang out for an hour and share more voices with you guys. So here I go. Now I'm going to go start packing my shit, get my stuff together, and head back out to the remote west coast of Vancouver Island. And hopefully I'll be able to get some shares into you guys. I'm gonna bring my Starlink setup. Sarah said she got me the one that I can use anywhere. So this will be the first time to try it out, which I need to do quickly because my plans are to take it remote with me in remote central British Columbia, and I will be able to use it to share with all of you as much as possible. So I'm gonna bring that with me today and try it out. So I got to climb on top of this hot metal roof in this sun and get that down. It's one of the things I got to do. And then I'll set it up on the dock and see if it works and make sure it works where I bring it and carry on. So enough babbling. Share my story at howtohunt.com. That's where you get your voice heard word for word.